is a wonderful experience to watch old friends connect, hug, catch up, and reflect on the past. And if we could, we would do this all day. We don't have all day, but this is a joy to watch this. Let me again say good morning and welcome to Azusa Pacific University. Welcome home to many of you, and to the 14th induction of the Azusa Pacific Athletics Hall of Fame. This morning, the university, in conjunction with the pride and support of many family, friends, teammates, and coaches, will induct into the Hall of Fame 10 former student athletes and recognize a very unique team in the history of Azusa Pacific. My name is Gary Pine. I'm the Director of Athletics at Azusa Pacific, and it is my pleasure to guide us through this morning's ceremony. In a moment, we will excuse you for the buffet meal in the back. We have 3 different places, and so we hope to be able to expedite this fairly quickly. But before we do, to open our day, will you please join Dr. Terry Franson, our former track and field coach and Director of Athletics and member of the Cougar Sports Hall of Fame, as he invites God into our presence for today's ceremony.
Would you pray with me? Holy Spirit, you are welcome here. Flood this place with your atmosphere, God. Thank you for the decades of legacy stories that are represented in this room. Thank you for the moms and dads that have been supporters of these many outstanding student athletes and these inductees over the years to get to this place. It's a Hall of Fame, God, but it's under your authority. We were birthed as God first, that will never, ever go away. The transformation of student athletes' lives as disciples and scholars to change this world with the love of Jesus. May this be a phenomenal year for APU. Thank you for the hundreds, thousands of student athletes who have had this sacred experience and sacred encounters with you. May that only get bigger and stronger and more impactful in this world, not just in America, but in this world. Bless this food to our bodies. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
You know, as a Hall of Fame committee, we recognize that this might get a little lengthy, given the opportunity to honor and recognize a lot of people. But we do ask that you stay to the end and respect those that we will be inducting, even in the second hour of our honor today. We have alumni here from the 1950s. We have Jim Wilson here from the 1960s. We've got Henry G. and Jim Giacomazzi, our volleyball team from the 1970s. We have people here from the 1980s, some people very close to me of a football team from about 1980 to 1986 that was just very memorable for me. Christian Okoye is here, along with Andre Johnson and Don K-Spear and Bob Jenkins. We have people here from the 1990s, obviously, because of honoring Eric and Dexter. And certainly we have people here from the new millennium, the majority of our honorees. But when you have that wide of a swath of alumni here, I wanted to take the opportunity to update you. Some of you have never seen the Felix Event Center, and yet we are now in our 20th year in the Felix Event Center. I wanted to update you on what's going on in Cougar Athletics and where we are. All of the honorees today will be honored for what they did when we were members of the NAI. And for those of you who know, we were probably without class when we were in the NAI. We had the first NAI national championship ever in the volleyball team. We went on to be very dominant in track and field under Terry Franson's leadership in the NAI. In the 1980s, we won an NAI football championship. That same year, we won the women's soccer national championship. And so we have had a great deal of success in the NAI. In fact, in 2007, we won the NAI men's soccer national championship. In the quarterfinals, we beat Fresno Pacific from our conference, the Golden State Athletic Conference. In the championship game, we beat Concordia from our conference in the national championship game. And it was at that time that Bill Odell and I began to have conversations. Is it time to raise the bar? Is it time for us to look at the NCAA? And so over the next 2 to 3 years, we began to study possible membership in NCAA. And that came to fruition in July of 2011 when we submitted an application to the NC2A. Not really quite sure if it was the right thing. We were hopeful, we were confident, but you don't know until you actually step into it. And I will say this, now in our 9th year in the NC2A, it is one of the best decisions we ever made as an athletic program. We are very honored and very mindful of our success in the NAI and very proud of our success in membership in the NAI. But the NC2A has been a wonderful thing for this university and for the athletic department. And when we moved to the NC2A, I said to our coaches, this is our opportunity to engage not just in being successful, and I will talk about that in a moment, but also to engage and be at the table of great societal conversations that sports brings together. And we've had that opportunity. Our coaches and our support staff serve on a number of NC2A committees. We are brought into conversation because of our faith, because we are a Christian school. There are many people out there who expect perhaps a perspective, and so they say we want Azusa Pacific at the table. This past June, I happened to have the opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with Mark Emmert, president of the NC2A. He was actually walking down the halls of the NC2A headquarters. I was walking in another direction, came upon each other and shook hands, and he said, Gary, I really appreciate what you and Azusa Pacific are doing in tackling some really challenging issues in the area of society that sports brings together. And that's been a true honor and an excitement to be a part of. Now, when we were part of the NAI, we won these Directors' Cups. In fact, we won 8 of them in a row. No one in NAI history has ever won 8 straight Directors' Cups. Each cup represented that we were the best athletic program in the nation. And so when we won the last one in 2011, take that back, 2012, we knew going forward it would be very hard to win Directors' Cups in NCAA Division II. But I'm proud to say that in 4 of the past 5 years that we've been active members in Division II, we have finished in the top 20 of the Directors' Cup. We are continuing to be successful, and we are trying to do what Bill and I wanted to do, was raise the bar and clear that bar. And we're moving in that direction. In fact, I will tell you right now, our men's soccer team is 11-0, and at 3:30 this afternoon against Hawaii Pacific, we hope they will be going 12-0 and continue as the #1 ranked team in the country. Our women's volleyball team, you'll want to hear this, is continuing the success that was started by you. Last night, they defeated Chaminade University in Honolulu, Hawaii in 3 sets. Chaminade was undefeated going into that match. And we are now back in first place in conference, and we are rolling along. Our men's and women's basketball teams, I expect to be very, very good this year. In fact, they both have had some very successful scrimmages. Our women's basketball team is ranked number 3 in the preseason poll. I think of the success of our track program under the direction now of Jack Hoyt, who is standing on the shoulders of Terry Franson and Kevin Reed and Mike Barnett and what they developed. And I'm very excited about what Jack has brought in, and I believe that our men's and women's track and field programs will be very competitive in NCAA Division II this year and in the coming years. For those of you who were at dinner rally last night, you saw what Kerry Webber is doing with our softball program. Wonderful, wonderful ministry, and she is doing a great job. In fact, as I think about that, I'll divert here a little bit. In the 5 years that we have been active members in the NC2A, we have hosted more NCAA regionals than any other school in the West. We've hosted the NCAA, and you host regionals based on your success during the season. You just don't get it handed to you, you have to earn it. And we've hosted the regionals in men's and women's basketball, men's and women's tennis, baseball, softball, men's and women's soccer. No school in the West has hosted as many regionals as we have in the last 5 years. So we are continuing to be successful. And continuing the line, and what made me think of that was what Paul Svagius is doing with our baseball program. Vogt, you'll be really proud to know, and he does know this, that we have hosted the NCAA regionals the last 3 years. And that is a very difficult task to do, given how strong baseball is here in the West. But when you think of NCAA Division II baseball, one of the first schools you think of is Azusa Pacific. Might even think of Cal Poly Pomona, and I say that for your pleasure, Danelle. But we are mixing it with the best of the best, and I'm really pleased with that and proud of how our athletic program is doing here at Azusa Pacific. I transitioned to that because as I was writing this speech on Thursday, I put a line in here that says, I've never been more excited about the future of Azusa Pacific than I am right now. And then when I went back and went to edit it and looking at it, I came across that line and said, Gary, do you really believe that? And so I studied it and thought about it. And I remember in 1993, I had been working 4 years in Division I athletics. I had left my alma mater, Azusa Pacific. I had been working in Division I athletics, was really enjoying it, saw my career moving in that direction, when Azusa Pacific called me and says, Gary, would you like to come back? And I really wasn't. I felt I was going in this direction. I loved Azusa Pacific, but it was in my rearview mirror. And I sat down with my wife, Sherry. And Sherry said, hey, Gary, look at this guy, Dr. Richard Felix. Look at Bill Odell, Terry Franson, and your mentor, Cliff Hamlow. Wouldn't it be great to be back there at ground zero as Azusa Pacific goes forward with something great? We didn't know what great would be, but we just sensed it with Dr. Felix's leadership. And I said, yeah, I think I want to do that. So against the advice of many of my colleagues, I said, I'm going back to Azusa Pacific. And I'll be honest with you, the next 25 years were phenomenal. They were exactly what Sherry said and thought they might be. As you know, last year was a tough year. It was a tough season for Azusa Pacific. But the people of Azusa Pacific have rallied and have done some amazing things over the past year. There was a point last year, about this time last year, I thought, is my future at Azusa Pacific? But what the people of Azusa Pacific have done in the last 10 months has been nothing short of phenomenal. And really, it is the blessing of God. And Azusa Pacific, if I can use this quote, is back. We are headed in a great direction. And I really do mean when I say I am very excited. In fact, I probably have never been more excited about the future of Azusa Pacific and the role that athletics will play in leading this university forward in the public eye. So let me return to script. Oftentimes, the phrase, a distinct pleasure, is used as a filler, a cliche of sorts without much meaning, but not in this case. Given the season that this university has just come through, given how God has blessed us, and given what has transpired in the past 5 months with our 17th president, I say with all honesty, I have never been more excited about the future of Azusa Pacific University. I really can't wait to see what God will do in the coming months, years, and decades. A man of deep wisdom and patience, a man of great experience, it is truly my distinct pleasure to introduce to you the 17th president of Azusa Pacific, Dr. Paul Ferguson.
Well, good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Great breakfast, Gary. Thank you. Could you just share with me and just acknowledge and thank Gary and his wonderful team in the athletics? Gary Pine has become one of my wonderful close friends. The athletic director now sits on the president's cabinet. That should tell you two things. One is the importance of athletics at Azusa Pacific University, part of every decision we make, part of the entire formation of our students and engagement of our community, and the wisdom of Gary Pine, Gary doesn't just talk about athletics, but he extends our conversation. So publicly, thank you, Gary, for all that you do. Well, Grace and I, my wife Grace, the First Lady of Azusa Pacific University, sitting right over here. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here with you and just express to you what a part athletics is of the Ferguson family. We love college athletics. Always have and always will. I was a college athlete. I played tennis in college. Learned a lot as an athlete. Many people have said when I served as president at different institutions as high as the D1 level, what do you think athletics has done for you as an administrator? And they've asked that question, interestingly, like, how could you be a better administrator because you were an athlete? Which means to me they were never an athlete. But I don't say that. You know, it's interesting. Where I have such a heart and love for college athletics, not only my experience, but as I walked in this morning and just saw the camaraderie, the intense recognition of fellowship, common experience, what I learned as an athlete was discipline, perseverance, what hard work really is, what it's like to, what team means, what it really means when it's down, when it's tough. You might be losing, but you're still together because you're going to do this and finish this together. I found truly, I had some great ones and I had some challenging ones. But what is the real impact of a coach in your life? If you had the pleasure of being last night at dinner rally and you saw Kerry Webber's testimony and her team, I've seen it with all the coaches at Azusa Pacific University. The term coach is more than teacher. It's more than authority figure. It's mentor, pastor, supporter, guide, disciplinarian. I learned that to be an effective team member and to effectively lead a team, you have to have the heart of a servant, you have to have a heart of love for your members, and you really got to work hard because everybody's counting on each other. And the words of a coach, well, I think that's what has really inspired my role as an administrator. The words of a coach are inspiring at every moment of an athlete's life, when you're winning, when you're losing, when you want to give up. And I've been in all those as an athlete, and I've certainly been in all those as an administrator. So I think that for those of us in this room today, the role, scope, and impact of athletics is more than about the win-loss, though this is an incredible demonstration of APU's role in the nation. The role of athletics at the university level is unique and special, and we're not going to lose that. APU in particular has a remarkable legacy of success, but impact in people's lives. When I hear these remarkable stories of young people coming to know Jesus Christ because of their coach or their players, that's the role that APU has had more than any other athletics program I've been associated with, transforming lives through the process of athletics. So when you hear us talk about strategic planning at APU, which we're very much about, we're very active in that, trying to create that next 5 to 10 year vision of APU and take us to the next level, just as Gary was talking about those 25 years ago. We're at that same point where APU has the wonderful opportunity in Christian higher education today to become the premier Christian university of our time. And I want to say that one more time. It's not just about being the best. That's not just an athletic goal, just to be the best. It's nice to win, but it's nice to be the best with character and impact. APU is in position and is committed to growing to be the premier Christian university for our culture and times. Now, those culture and times have changed in 40 years since I started in the academic business. But we are able to provide is a total holistic experience to our students. We want them to be focused on Christ-centered excellence, both in the classroom and the laboratory and the court and the field. And we want them to be able to engage in their world without compromise. That's the vision and mission of the Department of Athletics at APU, just like the Department of Psychology or Social Work or any other academic discipline. But where APU gets to be unique in higher education as a college co-curricular programming is our athletics department is a partner. So it's not about the discussion of, are we going to have athletics? The question is, how do we optimize athletics? How do we make sure that our athletics program leads the way in transforming our undergraduates and our graduate students? How do people get to see our young athletes transform their competitors and transform the world after they leave? The legacy of APU athletes is remarkable. Some of the folks in this room who have gone on to do great things is just incredible. The legacy of the success of the department is incredible. And isn't it wonderful that at the end of the day, all of this success and all of this remarkable ability, everybody in this room agrees with one concept, and that's why we do it, is to God be the glory. Great things he has done. So we look forward to future success. I just want to give my wonderful congratulations and thanks to the athletes who are going to be inducted today. What an incredible testimony you are to us, how much pride you bring to us at APU, and thank you for all that you have done and all that you do. And thank you for each one here. And we just look forward to many more opportunities like this. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you, Dr. Ferguson, and it is an absolute joy and pleasure to work with him. And I'll be honest with you, I have skipped some department meetings, some athletic department meetings, just to join him in some of his cabinet meetings, because he is a real pleasure to work with and work for. I wanted to touch upon something that he talked about in terms of character development. I'm trying to think how to say this best. I'll just say it. So this has been a little bit of a challenging year in football for Azusa Pacific. And we are very proud of our football program. We are the only NCAA Division II school in California, Arizona, Utah, Nevada to have football. But we are very good and have been very good. We've won the conference championship for the last 6 years. We've made the NC2A playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. We have won our conference's academic champion, meaning we are the most, we have the best GPAs. All 8 years we've been part of the conference. Reason I bring that up, and tying into what Dr. Ferguson said, is as I was talking with Sam Fletcher and his family earlier today, Sam was noting, boy, a lot of people who were here when I was here 12, 13, 14 years ago are still here. And I said, yeah, stability creates a great deal of success. And in football, we've had a lot of stability. Victor Santa Cruz has done just a wonderful job of building stability. But you know, when you have success, people want to take your people. And so when the Los Angeles Rams come knocking and say, we want one of your coaches, you don't say, you don't go to the Rams. When Fox Television calls and says, we want one of your coaches to work for us on NFL broadcasts, you don't stand in the way of that. When Penn State calls and says, we'd like one of your graduating seniors who has another year of eligibility who just happens to be your best player, you don't stand in the way of a young man having an opportunity to play for Penn State. And right now he is warming up on the field at East Lansing as Penn State gets ready to play Michigan State. But also along with that, you don't stand in the way when a high school which hasn't won a football game in 2 years says, we'd like to have one of your assistant coaches. And so when that high school this summer hired one of our assistant coaches to come in, though they had not won a game in 2 years, as he heads into week 10 next week, he has turned a winless program into a 6-3 CIF contending team. And the Pasadena Star-News caught attention of this young man and his work at LaSalle High School. And as this reporter did his story, and this reporter is local and knows about Azusa Pacific, he concluded and said, I don't know what it is about Azusa Pacific, but every organization, every school, every business, even every family needs to have someone from Azusa Pacific tied in there because Azusa Pacific makes a difference. And you know our slogan is about making difference makers. And so we have done some great things in football, and we are just passing our people on to impact culture and society This reporter who made that statement is not a man of faith. It was very easy to say to him, well, it's because of God and the faith that we have. But it was interesting that even he noted that the people of Azusa Pacific are something different and that this university is a real treasure here in the San Gabriel Valley in Southern California. Today is a culmination of work by many people over many months. Leading the work has been April Hoy, our Assistant Director of Athletics and Chair of the Hall of Fame Selection Committee. April has done a masterful job of putting this together. She's keeping the selection committee on track, and she has single-handedly put everything together in the finest details of what you're experiencing today. As April has said to me many times before, Gary, I get things done. And yes, she does. I'm very grateful for her effort, her quality work that she has brought to today's event. So thank you very much, April. I deeply appreciate what you've done. Perhaps part of April's passion for this event comes from her unique understanding of the Hall of Fame. She, too, is a member of the Athletics Hall of Fame. She was inducted in 2009 for her play in both softball and soccer. And April leads a long line of inductees. In fact, this morning, we will be inducting our 100th member into the Cougar Athletics Hall of Fame. Many of our prior inductees are here with us. So I would ask, if you are a member of the Azusa Pacific Athletics Hall of Fame, would you please stand so that we can recognize you for your accomplishments? To begin the honors, I'm asking a Hall of Fame member and the longtime Director of Athletics at Azusa Pacific, Dr. Cliff Hamlow, to join me on stage. In the history of the Quality Intercollegiate Athletics Program, there are times when a special team comes along, a group of athletes and coaches whose collective efforts aren't just memorable for a season, but they change the course of that program, the athletics department, and if I can even say, the university. Come on up. In my opinion, we have many such teams. I think of the 1998 NAI championship football team. We're going to talk about them a little bit later. Or the undefeated women's soccer team of that year as well. And it doesn't have to be just a national championship team. I think of the 1974 men's basketball team, the first team ever here at Azusa Pacific to make an NAI tournament. I think of the 1998 men's basketball team, which finally cracked the ceiling and got us into the NAI Final Four. 1998 was a pretty good year, Bill. A lot of good things happened that year. I think of the 2015 men's basketball team in this building, winning the NC2A West Regional and advancing to the Elite Eight, the first time we had ever won an NC2A Regional. As we reviewed our past, the selection committee realized that while individual performances occupy the Hall of Fame, there are special teams that come along that need to be recognized in some way, some fashion. And as a result, the committee established a new honor this year called the Legacy Team, a team that transcends time with its impact on the campus. And our first honoree for this new and unique award was a very easy pick. 40 years ago, isn't that amazing? It doesn't seem that long ago. 40 years ago, in the fall of 1979, Azusa Pacific experienced a transcending event with a particular team, a moment that still resonates to this day. The university had yet to win a national championship in any sport. However, in August of 1979, in the sweltering heat of the Cougar Dome, 12 young ladies came together, and I mean young because even the coaching staff was in its 20s, to embark on a volleyball season like none before in university history. Led by the forever hopeful Elaine Legrande, their Southern-speaking, guitar-playing, fiercely competitive head coach, 10 players put together a season for the record books. They won 34 of 42 matches. Only 5 schools beat them all year, and they avenged many of those losses. No vengeance was bigger, better, or sweeter than when they took down Sacramento State in December of 1979 to win the Association of Intercollegiate Women's Athletics National Championship, the first national title in Azusa Pacific history. The title accomplishment put a buzz through the campus and a great sense of pride in everyone's heart. They became the stars of the campus, they did, and not just that year, but really into the next year when majority of the team came back and they won the first ever NAI Women's National Championship in any sport. Here with us today, 40 years after winning that AIAW championship, to receive from Dr. Hamlow, their athletics director then, the first ever Legacy Championship plaque that will be permanently placed in the Hall of Champions for the 1979 Azusa Pacific women's volleyball team. Here with us today, our players Christy Sandoval Oxier, Stephanie Alpina Bonami, Debbie Michi Cisneros, Kelly Luther Crisolo, Teresa Satoff Keck, Jane Woolway Osborne, Gail Fisher Shepard, Becky Goodman Westerman, their athletic trainer, and that's an interesting term, Jim Giacomazzi, and their head coach, Elaine Legrande. Cliff, if you would present to Elaine, and Elaine, you would share with us.
Congratulations, and it'll be in our Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much.
Good, thank you.
Well, I'm here to recognize a special time in Azusa Pacific University athletics. It's my privilege to honor the very first national championship team of this beloved university. Let's back up a few years before 1979. Let's tell the moms, the dads, the brothers and sisters how grateful we are they had a part in the development of these superstar athletes. Moms, dads, brothers, sisters, y'all stand up and be recognized. Come on. Would you also join me in honoring a beloved high school coach of many of these young athletes, also my mentor who taught me California volleyball. I came from Oklahoma. We played a different kind of volleyball. She spent countless hours in the gym drilling fundamentals and building their teamwork and strategies. Molly Cavanaugh, please stand. Coach Hamlow has also a very special place in our heart because he came alongside our dreams and he encouraged the girls' endeavors. So Coach Hamlow, we greatly appreciate what you did for our team. What a joy it was to coach this relentless group of young women who never gave up on their dreams to be the best, to compete at the highest level, and to play for God's glory. God honored that dream 40 years ago. Please show this team how proud you are of what they accomplished. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lady Cougars, your 1979 Women's National Volleyball Champions, AIAW Division III.
That was a very memorable time. I was a young freshman here, and when I arrived, I heard nothing but great things about our volleyball team, and they really did capture the campus. And it still is a buzz. I meant that when I said that was a transcending moment then. Shortly, we will enshrine individuals for their effort and performance during their time at Azusa Pacific. Their names were among 50 deserving alumni who were brought forth to the 11-person selection committee, which in turn reviewed, discussed, and eventually voted on the accomplishments of each candidate. Through a process of several ballots, the committee reached a final enshrinement of today's 10 inductees. Each inductee has selected someone significant in their life to present them for induction into the hall. These presenters will briefly reflect on the inductee before introducing him or her for induction into the hall. Upon their acceptance speech, the inductee will receive for their personal display a crystal vase inscribed with the honor that is being bestowed upon them today. A plaque that you see here in the front with their photo and a list of athletic accomplishments will be mounted in the Hall of Champions upstairs here in the Felix Event Center. So, to begin the enshrinement of the 14th induction ceremony in class of Hall of Fame at Azusa Pacific, former APU cross-country coach Bill Reeves will present Brianna Karstensen.
Well, thank you. What an honor it is to be here, being chosen to do this and seeing so many athletes here that I haven't seen in 15 years. What a great honor. But I met Brianna as an incoming freshman. She'd been homeschooled, so I didn't have much information on recruiting her. From day one, she was very dedicated, hardworking, always thinking about what she could do to be a better runner. From giving it all to practice, to eating well, and sleeping as well as a college student can, Brianna was fully developed to herself, to her running career. A 19-time All-American, Brianna was very respected by her NAIA peers. She was humble in victory and very gracious in defeat. Her senior year, she moved from specializing in the 1,500 to the 3,000-meter steeplechase. She ran the 7th fastest time in the nation before getting hurt. Running with an injury at nationals, she earned a standing ovation. Although she didn't finish well as she wanted, she was highly revered as one of the event's best. I'd like to leave you with one final story about Brianna's dedication. While training camp in Mammoth Lakes one year, it was a tradition for us to break into groups and present skits to the rest of the team. One of the boys came up with a Family Feud-style game show skit that featured the character Brianna Karstensen. When a boy who was playing Brianna was asked, "Brianna, do you have a boyfriend?" Brianna exclaimed, "Running is my boyfriend, duh." Now, years later, that phrase is featured on a t-shirt sold at my cross-country invitationals, and is a very popular shirt, and that's Brianna Karstensen. Thank you.
I am beyond honored by this opportunity to stand before you today as an inductee to the 2019 Azusa Pacific University Athletic Hall of Fame class. I'm truly humbled, honored, and blessed to be in this year's class, along with the rest of these incredible athletes. I would like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for its decision to induct me into the Hall of Fame. This is such an incredible honor and privilege, an accomplishment I will always cherish with great pride. When I think back to the early days of my experience as a runner, I recall fondly those days on the track starting at age 7. The feeling of adrenaline building as I would line up at the starting line and wait for the gun to go off and then running as fast as my legs would take me. There's a feeling one gets when in that place of full exertion, nothing in the world matters then except to dig deep and give it everything you have. That feeling is like none other. I am very thankful for my parents who started me on this path and who have been my biggest supporters along the way. While my start as a runner began at a young age, I can honestly say that my true love of running did not solidify until I became a part of the Cougar family. Having been homeschooled, I had not had the experience of being on an actual team, and entering APU as a freshman, I got my first taste of what it was like to be a part of a team, or a second family rather, because looking back, that is what this experience was for me. I could not be standing here today if it weren't for my coaches and trainers, all of whom helped train, guide, and shape me into the athlete I became, and I am so incredibly thankful for each one of them. There's no possible way I could stand up here today and thank everyone who played a role in my being here, but I would like to take this time to recognize some of those individuals. Bill Reeves, Mike Barnett, Kevin Reed, Preston Gray, and Cal each played an influential part in my running career at APU, and I want to thank each one for instilling the qualities needed for success. I'm also thankful for my parents and siblings who traveled many, many miles to follow along to all my races to be my loudest cheerleaders. A special thanks deserves to be mentioned in particular to Coach Reeves. I could not have found a better fit of a coach, mentor, and second dad, which is what he truly was to all of us as we navigated life away from home for the first time, striving to balance school, running, and all other aspects associated with college life. Coach Reeves was truly dedicated to the success of myself and all my teammates. He knew when to push me harder than I ever thought possible, and as a result, I found new levels of endurance and speed I didn't realize I had prior. Coach Reeves simultaneously knew how to instill the importance of enjoying the journey, and while I distinctly recall the miles and miles and countless laps I put in during those 4 years, I likewise remember the fun we had along the way, some of which he just mentioned was our skits of at Mammoth Camp, the ribbons and braids, the slogans written on our calves before each race, and even the singing in the vans and sporadic dance moves led by Bill, believe it or not, to Smooth Criminal as we prepared for our races. I truly look back on those years as some of the best ones in my life. I also want to thank my teammates who I had the privilege to not only run beside, but with whom I was able to form friendships that have continued to this day. I'm so grateful to each one of them and feel blessed to have some of them present today to share in this special honor with me. I believe that God handpicked each and every teammate I had the privilege of running, sweating, laughing, and crying with during those 4 years, and could not have asked for a better group of teammates, friends, confidants, and supporters. The 2 races that stick out to me the most all these years later are both relay races, and there's a reason for that. There were so many individual races, but the relays that I ran in, there's something about coming together and everybody getting out on the track and running, being a part of a team and knowing that you had 3 other people dependent on you. And those are the ones that were the most memorable for me. As I prepared to leave the podium, I'm reminded of APU's slogan, God First. I truly feel blessed by the experiences and life lessons I learned during my 4 years here on this campus. The trials I faced, the trails I ran, and the lives that intertwined and touched my own left a mark so deep that it carries with me to this day. My experience here at APU as a student and athlete truly shaped the course of my life and gave me a foundation for how to navigate the ups and downs of life that followed. I feel extremely blessed to have my 3 children present here today as well, and I can only hope to continue to be an example to them of what it means to live life with God at the center and to continue to strive for the prize that is promised us. This journey we are all on was never promised to be easy, yet we are always called to look to our Creator as we travel along. I would like to end with a verse from Hebrews that carried me through not only the 4 years I ran at APU, but continues to this day. And now let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Thank you.
Presenting Jennifer Dow-Tompkins is Azusa Pacific tennis coach, Mark Bourne.
Okay, 2 words I would use to describe Jennifer Dow is consistent and tenacious, whether that was in the classroom or in the tennis court. She was not only an incredible tennis player, but a great teammate and a great person. After graduating from Azusa Pacific in 2007, Jennifer continued her education in physical therapy school, where she She has used that degree to become a pediatric physical therapist. She is married to Sean Tompkins. They have a son, Evan, and they are expecting their second child in February. Before I continue, I would like to recognize Jennifer's parents, John and Penny. They had 3 daughters, with all 3 being amazing high-level tennis players and junior tennis players. John was their main coach through those years and did an amazing job with all 3. So what did Jennifer's teammates have to say about her? Peggy Bell, a teammate for 4 years, said, "Getting to play alongside her was such a privilege. She is not only an incredible tennis player, but a kind and wonderful human being. I'll never forget how she shocked so many opponents with her talent and grit. She seemed to always win, no matter how strong her opponent was on paper or looked in warm-ups. No matter her results, her sweet, humble spirit led our team to have that similar attitude." John Goodrich, a player on the men's team in 2007, said, "Jen is a perfect example of a ruthless professional. From the classroom to the court, she competed with amazing drive to win at whatever cost." Stacy Wood, another teammate, said, "I am proud to call her a former classmate, teammate, and roommate. Her drive, determination, and consistency have been evident in everything she does, from winning tennis matches to earning her doctorate of physical therapy." Coaching Jennifer was a blessing. She led our 2004 team to the most impressive run that I've ever seen, either on our men's or women's program, with a runner-up finish in the 2004 NAIA National Championship. But what is more impressive is what Jennifer has done with her life after APU tennis. I am pleased to introduce to you, for introduction to Azusa Pacific Athletics Hall of Fame, Jennifer Dow Tompkins.
Thanks, Coach. It's an honor to be here today. I can still remember the day my father handed me a tennis racket at the age of 5. I think the racket was almost as big as me at that point. Growing up, my dad would take me to Claremont High School, and I would spend hours hitting the ball against the wall every day. As a nice incentive, if I did a good job, I would get to pick out my favorite treat from the store. I always looked forward to spending this time with my dad, and the candy didn't hurt either. As I grew older, I moved on from playing for treats to playing for trophies. I was never the biggest, strongest, or most athletic player on the court, but my dad would always say, "Just get one more ball back in the court and don't give up." I took that to heart. Patience became my strength, as I often played girls twice my size. I would repeat to myself, "Just keep playing hard, don't get frustrated, and be patient." The countless hours of practice paid off, and I found myself with the great opportunity to join the women's team here at APU. And it was those 4 years where I was blessed to play under the mentorship of Coach Bourne, assistant coach Mark Goodman, and Gordon Hong. I will always cherish the memories of van rides on away games, playing in the heat and humidity in Mobile, Alabama, and the friendships made along the way. Thank you again, Coach Bourne, for being the rock that supported all of us through tough matches. He always pushed us to be better, having us do conditioning drills in the off-season at the track and having us go to the weight room, which he knew that I loved. I hope you can sense my sarcasm. Part of being successful in any facet is about having a strong team and support system around you. I would not have had any of my successes on the court without my team or Coach Bourne, so a big thank you to them. Most of all, I would like to thank my parents, John and Penny Dow. Dad, thank you for being patient with me, keeping me motivated on days where I didn't feel like practicing or after matches where I had tough losses and wanted to give up. Thank you for teaching me how to play the game the right way and giving me your wisdom, strength, and determination. Mom, thank you for all of your sacrifices. I can't imagine how difficult it must have been to raise 3 daughters while also working full-time. Both of you drove me to tennis matches and practices all around the city, and not once complained. I never said it back then, but thank you so much for your love and support. Coach, Dad, and Mom, you have all taught me lessons and values that have made me into the person I am today, and the importance of being patient, hardworking, and focused. I carry these qualities through my daily life and now through my work as a pediatric physical therapist. I'm eager to teach my kids how to play tennis one day and hope that they would have the same sense of camaraderie, family, and values that APU provided me. I'd also like to thank the rest of my family and the other team members here today. You guys mean the world to me. A special thanks to April Hoy, Gary Pine, and the Hall of Fame committee. This is such a tremendous honor, and I am forever grateful. Go Cougs.
Presenting Dexter Davis is Nathan Kepke.
Hello, everybody. I'm very honored to represent Dexter Davis. I've been close friends with him for 26 years. There's not many things in my life that did not include him. Amazing guy. I didn't play football with Dexter, although he's getting inducted in for football. I played college baseball with him. And in the biography, it did not show that Dexter Davis was drafted by the San Diego Padres. And that just shows the great athleticism they had. He was a fantastic baseball player. He could run, hit, play defense. But what the biggest thing about Dexter was his passion and his leadership towards the game and towards his teammates, that he just, and you guys will know, he just enthused all this positiveness. And that's what, brought me really close to being a great friend with him. And he's amazing with how he can persevere through anything. His second year in college, he had a beautiful daughter, Alicia Davis. And he was able to keep his grades up and continue to do great in baseball. And got himself a scholarship here at APU for baseball. And he did very successful here. And then he calls me up one day and says, "Hey, I just decided I'm going to play football." And it's hysterical because to me, he's a little guy, I'm like, but he's got a lot of fight in him. But he hasn't played football in 4 years. How the heck is he going to play football collegiately? And it's amazing to see what he has accomplished in football. Doesn't surprise me because of his heart and his fight, his passion. But all the things that he had to persevere of school and, handling a baby. A lot of us, I was a collegiate athlete, and I couldn't imagine doing what I had to do, plus raise a child. He's an amazing person. I'm very glad that I'm still in his life, very lucky, very fortunate. I'm 10 months older than him, and I'm about a foot taller than him, but I've always looked up to him. He's an amazing guy. And so I'd like to present Dexter Davis. Oh, and I want to say the first thing is, I didn't take his fashion sense. I think his grandma's looking for her curtains still. He made a jacket out of. But I did see he might have got a bowl of soup with that jacket.
The only reason why he's not wearing a jacket like this because we couldn't find one to fit him. That's the only reason why. But thank you, Nate. Appreciate it. I'm honored to be here, and I'm grateful to have several individuals in my life that I could have easily brought up here to introduce me. My really good friend, Jack, Canel, my brother. I had so many people that could have introduced me, coaches, family, friends. So I'm blessed in that area to have so many people around me that I would consider to be able to do this for me. For me, I'm very grateful, thankful, and I'm humbled to be up here right now. It's a blessing to be here. As you guys can see, for me to be humble, I'm very confident in who I am. And so for me to be humble, it's something that is really hard to do. But I'd like to thank my family, the Kepkes, the Greers, my daughter, my wife, my kids for being here and supporting me, my sister, Fred, all you guys. I'm really honored to have so many people that love and support me. And so, but APU, man, grateful to be here, to have the opportunity to even come to APU. My time here was fabulous. And how I got here was through baseball. Coach Winterburn and Coach Bones and the rest of the baseball program, they ended up coming to a baseball game in Long Beach City, and they're like, we got to have that guy. Well, that's what they told me. All right. So I ended up taking a trip to APU, and I immediately met with the coaches, and immediately I fell in love with the campus, how small it was, how quaint it was, and then I saw the gym. And I was like, they play basketball in there? But I turned down some other offers, scholarships, and I ended up at APU, and I'm glad I did because I had the best time of my life at APU. Met some great friends, family, and still people to this day that I would consider my family. And I'm so grateful to take that opportunity, and I'm glad I went to APU. And so I'm loving it. I'm glad I made that decision to come to APU. And so, but I'd like to give a special shout out to the baseball program. Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to continue my education and my athletic career, as well as the football program as well for giving me the opportunity to play football. And that was a crazy ordeal in itself, and how I ended up finding my way to the football field. I was playing intramurals, and which I wasn't supposed to play intramurals at all, playing baseball. I went out there and played intramurals and caught the eye of one of the football players. He's like, you should play football. And I go, make it happen. Talk to the football coach and have the baseball coach, and you guys. And before I know it, we're all sitting in a meeting. I was just messing around. And so ultimately, I remember Coach Barbone looking at me like, what is going on here? And I go, I don't know. And so he gave me the opportunity to go out and play football as well, which I'm thankful for because I wouldn't be standing here today if he didn't give me that opportunity to come to APU and to play football as well. But my time at APU, man, good times. I mean, it ranks up there with, the birth of my daughter, getting married to my wife, and adopting my 2 boys. Like, it's that big to me, and I'm that grateful to have the opportunity to be here. And so, unfortunately for me, you guys only gave me 5 minutes to talk, because I could talk for at least 20, 30. I mean, I'm pretty good at it, but I won't hold everyone up. But I just really like to say that I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and I'm humbled by APU and the opportunity, the knowledge, and the love that you guys have bestowed upon me. Thank you guys very much for this prestigious honor. Everyone enjoy. Go Cougars.
Presenting Sam Fletcher is Azusa Pacific tennis coach Mark Boren.
April, can I go off script just a second? Okay. Introducing Sam, I couldn't help think of the 2005. His teammates are almost all here. They won the national championship in 2005, and when you win a spring sport, usually when you get back to APU in late May, no one's around. And most of those guys were seniors that year. And I just want them to stand up and just recognize that accomplishment for those guys so they could stand up really quick. And I want to honor another special APU tennis alum. I could read many of the impressive statistics from his career, but instead I would like to talk about the person that Sam Fletcher was during his time at Azusa Pacific. In his 4 years, his impact as a teammate and as a leader spoke louder to me than the statistics, which really says something when considering all the accomplishments he did as a player. His leadership set a foundation for his teammates that ultimately led to a national championship in 2005 and is still felt in our program today. Adam Davidson, who was Sam's doubles partner for 3 years, said he not only had the ability to dominate with his unique firepower, but he had the ability to make the rest of his team feel more confident as well. The sign of a great champion is someone who not only can dominate by themselves, but also lifts up those around them to play at their best, which makes the team better. That was Sam. We all were better because of him. John Wagner, a 2006 grad, and Sam's teammates shared a few memories as well, saying, he accepted everyone on the team, 1 through 9. We were a team. He showed me how to work our hardest, or your hardest, even when you are not being directly told, and even when you are the best, and when nobody is watching you. He was our best player and set the standard. Something amazing happens to a team when the best player will outwork everyone. Since graduating from APU in 2005, Sam moved back to Australia and is married to his wife, Heidi. They have 3 wonderful boys, Tom, Will, and Leo, which I got to meet today. All 3, along with Heidi, have made the trip to Australia to watch their dad receive this honor. Sam has had a career in the financial market industry since graduating from Azusa Pacific. He definitely put his college degree to good use. As a coach, you couldn't be more proud of watching your players be successful in life. Seeing what Sam has done with his life after leaving APU exemplifies that. I am pleased to introduce to you for introduction to Azusa Pacific's Hall of Fame, Sam Fletcher.
Thanks, Coach. I was incredibly fortunate to be part of an outstanding APU men's tennis team with a culture built on hard work, determination, and a never-say-die attitude. Our rock-solid coach, Mark Byron, was and still is a man of values and consistency that is able to get the very best out of his players. After losing in the quarterfinals at Nationals in 2002, we got an understanding of what we wanted to ultimately achieve, which was a national title. We worked hard as a team, doing extra training and gym sessions and pushing each other on the practice court. In our matches, we consistently fought hard as a unit and played as a team. I would look over to court 6 and see Tom Gelsma grinding his opponents into the dirt with his heavy ground strokes and fierce determination. On court 5, I would see Gordon Hong fighting for his life, frustrating his opponents with his ability to outsmart them from the back of the court. I would look over to court 4 and see Adam Davidson in a battle, playing an all-court game that enabled him to rush his opponent and play the match on his terms. On court 3, I would see David Goodman, such a talented player that appeared to effortlessly have the ball on a string. And I would look next door to court 2 and gain comfort from the side of Boris Bakalov, the disciplined German ruthlessly going about his business. We were gutted to lose in the final at the 2003 Nationals at Peachtree City in Georgia. In 2004, we were even more disappointed after losing again at Nationals, this time in Mobile, Alabama. In 2005, we travelled back to Mobile, Alabama for what was the last opportunity for the departing seniors to win an elusive national title. Our dedication and teamwork finally paid off and resulted in a national title after we defeated Santa Fe in the final. In reality, I don't think we were the most talented team playing at the national tournament, but we definitely had the best team culture, and our support for each other was second to none. It was such a thrill to finish with the national title with all members of the team playing a key role. I would like to thank APU for providing me with this opportunity. It's a great honour to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Thanks to April and Gary for coordinating the event today. Coach Byron, thanks for everything you have done for me and the legacy you have built with APU tennis. Coach Goodman, thanks for the role you played as our assistant coach and being rock solid. To all of my teammates, thanks for providing me with some of the best memories of my life. Thanks to my parents, Gary and Marilyn, for their support and sacrifices for me over the years, including driving me all over the countryside for the tennis. Thanks to my beautiful wife, Heidi, and my three amazing boys, Tom, Will, and Leo, that have travelled with me from Australia to be here. Thank you.
To present Peter Moore is Azusa Pacific head coach Victor Santa Cruz.
Great day to be a Coug, that's for sure. You know, when our Savior, Lord Jesus Christ, at the end on the cross, he screamed out, "Teleo," and may say it's finished. And teleo is the Greek word to bring to close, to finish, to end, to perform, to fulfill, so that the thing done corresponds to the order, or to do just as commanded and perform the last act which completes the process. Greatness is rewarded and admired when the ordinary act is carried out to an extraordinary way, a teleo way. The teleo way is one that exemplifies a commitment to the cause that others can only marvel and wonder, who is this person? Our 2019 Hall of Fame inductee for football, Peter Moore, is so deserving of this honor because without regard to self or accolades, he committed himself to serving the cause of Cougar football and Azusa Pacific University, making it great. Originally showing up as a walk-on hopeful, Peter Moore transformed himself into a record-holding powerhouse nose guard. Weighing in at 260 pounds and running a 4.6 flat 40 time, Peter went on to establish a school record 400-pound clean. But in 2004, his teleo status was immortalized when he truly gave all he had on a cold Montana football field. We were in the semifinals of a playoff game, and Peter, in his senior year, would not miss that game for anything. The week prior, he helped us beat the number one team in the nation, but Peter had got a staph infection, and that staph infection had kept him in the hospital the whole week. On IVs, antibiotics, the doctor told him, "Peter, there's no way you're going to play this game." Peter in the last said, "I'm not missing this game." So we, with the doctors accompanying him, following all the protocols, April, his safety, he flew up on that plane, and all the way to the very kickoff, Peter was on IVs. Pulling the IVs out, time to play, he took the field in that cold Montana day. To the very end, Peter gave everything. And in that fourth quarter, I remember on the headset telling Coach Shinnick, "Coach, we have to get him out. He might die." But he poured it all out. That teleo status is forever immortalized as he gave everything to help his brothers in arms and this university achieve the highest levels that he possibly helped them achieve. And his time as a football player is always remembered in our football banquets with that teleo award. I'd like to recognize, and it's my great honor to show you a warrior man, Peter Moore.
Thank you, Coach. It's always special to hear your voice. I appreciate it. First off, I must thank the selection committee. It's an unbelievable and daunting process, a tedious task. I know the effort that you put into it, and I appreciate that process to get right. It's difficult, and I understand the rigor involved to be selected in the Hall of Fame. This is the single greatest honor to this day in my life. No matter what else I accomplish in my life, nothing has a greater meaning than this moment. I just want to take a second to congratulate everyone entering the Hall. Truly a special honor. Thank you. April, thank you for chairing this event. You were my head football trainer, and we spent a lot of time together. We did, and I always I have so much respect for the way you handled that training room, kept all us football players in line, but still showed us that love. It was very special. Thank you for that. Coach Odell, the standard of excellence you had as an athletic director, truly remarkable. Mr. Pine, you stand on the shoulders of the Giants, carrying on that legacy. Very impressive. Thank you, Mr. Pine. Dr. Franson, when you and Craig Wallace, when I was in Montana, and where are you, Terry? And that was one of the darkest moments of my life in that hospital room. And sorry, those of you who know me know there's no way I'm getting through this. But when you walked in with Craig Wallace, and that meant so much to me to this day. I just knew everything would be okay. I knew I'd get home, number one, but also just you taking the time out to come visit me. I appreciate it to this day. Thank you, Dr. Franson. Thank you. Okay, so I've played and coached sports all my life, but never won a championship. But I played on a lot of good teams. And the first team I'd like to recognize is my team from Anacortes, Washington. My siblings, 4 sisters and 1 brother. I always looked up to my brother. He was 6'4", but in life too. And growing up with 4 sisters, they really did a good job preparing me not just for my personal life, but my professional life as well. So I just want to thank Eric, Kristen, Laura, Johanna, and Gina. I appreciate everything you've done for me. Thank you. I was born and raised in Anacortes, Washington, small town, 2 hours north of Seattle, artsy town, retirement town, not much going on. And I first stepped on the football field my sophomore year. I was about 5'10", 150 pounds. I couldn't catch, throw. I was unathletic, so I played defensive line and center. And but I had some great coaches along the way. Coach Evans, Compton Buyer, I'm here today because of you. You coached me like I was an All-American instead of a small walk-on player, and I'm forever grateful. Thank you, guys. I've always been on good teams, like I said. The second great team is my current team, and specifically those sitting here today. If you are here, you're a special person to me. You're a family and a friend for life. Mr. and Mrs. Leary, 2 of the finest people I've met. Thank you so much for coming down from Portland. I appreciate it. I do. Thank you. My in-laws, your family too. Thank you, Brianne, Pete, Grace, Colin, Andy, all of you, Mel. I couldn't stay in California without you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you. Couple current people here. Miss Aldana, Gabby is the best boss I've had. I'm honored to work with you. Thank you for taking the time. It's very special. Roxy, for better or worse, you're my coppice. Those of you know. I couldn't do my job without you. You'll always be the lead assistant principal. Thank you for being here, you too. Thank you all. And now, my great team, and I mean a great team, my team at Azusa Pacific. It's impossible to recognize every teammate that I played with. I saw some of you here today. It was just special. I could talk for an hour to you guys, just memories and all that stuff. It's amazing. But I would like to acknowledge Dave Leary and Jed Thurner. Just thank you so much, guys. I love you guys. There's no 2 people on the face of the earth that I would rather experience college with. We had countless great times, and we helped and support each other through the rough times. Every time that I'm around you, I'm inspired to push myself to be a better person. Thank you, Bulk School, and thank you, Leardog. I love you, and I'm proud to be your friend. Leardog, thanks for being here. You're a beautiful wife, Adrian family. Thank you so much. And for those of you that Montana guy, I kept a little short, and I live with that, and I own it. I apologize. I'm sorry, guys, to those guys I played with. But on the way to this podium, I met some special people at APU. Coach Walmer, we go off script here, but when you walked in, I was about happiest I've felt a long time. Coach, you meant so much to me. We used to meet at 6 a.m. with Jed and Dave, and we'd just have breakfast, and it was once at 6 a.m. to just talk about what it meant to be a man and growing up and how to do things the right way. And I take those memories with me, Coach. I take those lessons with me, and I live them, and I appreciate that, Coach Walmer. Thank you. Coach Coppice, I love you. You're in my mind and my heart. I miss you. Coach Beatty, what can I say? I'm a little levity here. But you're the best teacher I've ever seen, an amazing coach, and you're the one who put your name on me September 9th, year 2000, and I appreciate that, Coach Beatty. I do. I'll never forget that. Thank you for everything you've done. I know what you've done in my life, and we'll keep it between us, but thank you, Coach. I'll send with, that'll do, pig. That'll do. Coach Santa Cruz, I'll be a leader someday, you are. I appreciate you, Coach. The biggest thing I take away from you is just the way you live and the way you talk about one blood football and treating every single person the same exact way, regardless of race, background, whatever it may be, how you treat players, Coach. And I take those lessons, Coach, every day at my school. I try to live that way just the same, that one blood spirit. Thank you for that, Coach. And then finally, my inner team, my home team, my best team, my dad and father-in-law, nearly 80 years of teaching at public high school and a lifetime providing for their families. Could not ask for better role models. My beautiful wife, Laurel, who played tennis here at Azusa Pacific. I'm so glad you asked me out. Was it? You're the rock of the family, an incredible wife, and somehow a better mother to our girls. I couldn't ask for anything more. Thank you. I love you. By a reputation of being a tough player on the field, there's no comparison to the two toughest people in my life. My mother-in-law, who's here today, she beat breast cancer and is battling brain cancer for the last 8 years. And my mom, who raised 6 kids, and her entire life, even to this day, sacrificed her quality of life so her kids and grandkids can have a better one. Thank you. I love you both. And finally, Kiki and Lizzie, your daddy's girls, I love you to death, and you'll always be in my Hall of Fame. Thank you all. Thank you.
To present Aaron Rono, please direct your attention to the video screen for a message from APU cross-country coach Preston Gray, who is currently at the Pacific West Conference Championship meet and is unable to be with us this morning.
It is my great honor to welcome Aaron Rono to the Azusa Pacific Athletics Hall of Fame class of 2019. Aaron was an amazing athlete for Azusa Pacific. It was my great honor to coach him. I started coaching him my second year of coaching, but that only really tells part of the story. Aaron was the ultimate competitor. During his time, the men's team won 3 indoor national championships, 2 outdoor national championships, and finished second and third in cross country, the 2 best finishes in school history. During those championship meets, Aaron ran 32 races and won 30 of those races. Multiple times during those championships, Kevin Reed and me walked up to him and said, Aaron, we need these 10 points to win a national championship. Every single time, Aaron looked at us and said, I got it, coach, and delivered the 10 points in the national championship. Aaron was also the ultimate teammate. He would just look at guys and tell them that they were ready to run fast, and the guys would always rise to the occasion. He really just made everybody around him better. Coaching Aaron has really been one of the highlights of my career. Since graduating Azusa Pacific, Aaron went on to a successful professional career, joining the United States Army and running for their elite team, gaining his U.S. citizenship and making a U.S. national team. He now resides in Medford, Oregon, married to Lisa, also an alum of the program, and has 3 beautiful kids. His nephew Nixon now runs on the cross-country team, continuing on the family legacy. Aaron, congratulations on your introduction into the Azusa Pacific Hall of Fame. Nobody deserves this honor more than you.
Hello. First, I would like to thank God for this event and for guiding me through my running career, which led to this honor. I grew up in Kenya in a big family. We were all very close and hardworking, but did not have running water or electricity, and there were very few opportunities. I would like to thank APU for the running scholarship. Without it, I would not have been able to attend school here. I want to recognize Kevin Reed, the men's track and field coach at the time, for trusting in me and helping me get a full scholarship. He made sure that I was fully taken care of in the classroom and on the track. I also want to thank Preston Gray, the long-distance coach, for his training program. Preston knew when to push me and when I needed rest. His training regimen led to all the accomplishments that I made while at APU. I made so many friends here who were caring and supportive. My teammates would give me rides before I had a car, and a couple of them, Forrest Luton and Caleb Lynch, even invited me to live with their families in the summer. My time at APU strengthened my faith because I was always surrounded by a community of believers. I also met my wife, who was on the track team as well. Now we have 3 beautiful kids. Running took me to so many amazing places all over the US and the world. Even though I've retired from running, I'm grateful for all the experiences and life lessons such as discipline, hard work, and patience. Thank you once again for this honor, and to all friends and family who are here today. And I also want to thank April for putting this event together. God bless you all.
To present Jenna Saige is former Azusa Pacific volleyball head coach Jerry Gregory.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. When I first became coach of the women's volleyball team at APU, I inherited a group of determined, spirited, and competitive athletes. We competed in the old gymnasium, the beloved Cougar Dome. It was a strong home court advantage, especially with temperatures that approached 100 degrees. That was outside. Inside was hotter. We did manage to win more matches than expected, but there were still more losses than wins. It was clear that a strong class of recruits would help, and I thank Tashana Pope and Roxana Mercer, who are here, for being part of the fix for that problem. At the time of our hiring, my wife Sally and I were coaching a nationally ranked club volleyball team that won a national championship and was composed entirely of NCAA Division I potential stars. Jenna Saige was one of those athletes. Her athleticism was astonishing. Her sky-high jump and thunderous attacking power was a thing to see. Jenna, in short, she could have been a significant player at any Pac-10 team at that point. We'll call them Pac-12 now. Given all that, her intangibles and Holy Spirit-led qualities were the things that drew me to ask her to come to APU. Jenna is a kind person. She's loved and encouraged her teammates and even her opponents. It was easy to understand that her strength of character and Christian spirit as I got to know her parents, Steve and Karen, and her sweet younger sister, Joelle, during those club coaching years. At APU, she set many attacking, serving, and defensive records. She helped jumpstart us into the national ranking, as well as continued to distinguish herself in the classroom. This is no small matter at a university as challenging as APU. After college, Jenna married her sweetheart, Brian Taliaferro, who is also an accomplished volleyball player and a trusted officer in the U.S. Air Force, where he flies important missions to dangerous places with precious cargo and passengers. Jenna continues to reflect God's love in how she cares for her beloved family that includes active and intelligent children. When I think of Jenna, Proverbs 31 comes to mind. And the description of a worthy woman. Quote, the heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She looks well to the ways of her household. It's a pleasure to introduce a person whom my wife Sally and I dearly love to the APU Athletic Hall of Fame, Jenna Saige Horne Taliaferro.
Thank you. Good morning. It is such an honor to be here with so many incredible athletes today. This is actually the second Hall of Fame ceremony that I have attended. The first was about 19 years ago when they enlisted the freshmen, or I was a freshman, and they had enlisted the volleyball team to help with the ceremony. I remember so vividly standing in the back with my basket of dinner rolls and pitcher of ice water. And I remember watching the inductees come up one by one. And I remember thinking what an incredible honor it must be for them. And I also remember thinking that they looked just like a little bit old. So like if there were any students here today, I know what you're thinking, and it's okay, you're not wrong. As I'm sure all of the other inductees here today would agree, an honor of this magnitude isn't really about us. It's about the people who have selflessly and generously poured into our hearts and lives over the years. It takes a village, and today is without a doubt an incredible honor for those of you who have played such an impactful role in our lives. Without you, we would not be here today, and without you, we would not be who we are today. I want to start by thanking Gregory for being the most influential coach in my life. You were always encouraging, always gentle, always patient, always kind, and you would never know from your humble spirit that you are very possibly the most accomplished athlete in the room today. Thank you for taking such good care of me all those years and for making volleyball such a joy. Playing for you was an honor. Thank you to all of my other coaches and support staff for your hard work and dedication. Thank you to my family for your endless love and support. Thank you to my teammates for all of the heartwarming memories of laughter and friendship. Thank you to my husband, Brian, for falling in love with me here at APU when I was in spandex, and for continuing to love me all these years, even though now I'm in Spanx. It's important. Thank you to the APU Hall of Fame committee for this wonderful honor. And thank you to April Hoy, who did an incredible job of planning such a meaningful ceremony. How you accomplished all of this with a toddler at home is beyond me and makes you the real winner. Thank you. A few years ago, my oldest daughter, who is now 13, she came home after school and she had played volleyball for the first time in PE. She came home, grabbed a volleyball, escorted me out to the front yard where she proudly declared, "Stand right there, Mom, and put your arms out like this. I'm going to teach you how to pepper." She had no clue that I did, in fact, know how to pepper and that I was pretty good at it. I'm so thankful that all 4 of my kids can be here with me today. Athletic awards such as this encourage us not only to remember the great accomplishments of the past, but they stand as an inspiration for those who come after us. They inspire the next generation of believers to give their all for Christ, win or lose. To thank him for the ability and the opportunity to play, and to give all the glory and honor to God, regardless of the outcome. Colossians 3:17 says, "And whatever you do, in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him." So kiddos, take a look at mommy up here and know that you too were created for the glory of God. With every breath you take and with every beat of your heart, keep your eyes fixed on the one who made you and on the one who loves you with an everlasting love. May the Lord be glorified in the precious talents and abilities that he has given each of you, and may the Lord be glorified here today. And I don't know if you noticed, up on the seal behind me, there's a little banner with some black letters. Take a look and remember them. Remember that in every gift, in every opportunity, in every circumstance, always, always, God first. Thank you.
To present Stephen Vogt is Azusa Pacific Baseball head coach, Paul Svadgis.
Thank you, Gary. I don't even know why I made notes. Vic came up here, used Greek, Latin, some foreign language, put a lot of pressure on me. Peter, who I had the good fortune and was blessed to watch play, was certainly a warrior and was given his life for his team. And the only story I have is I was almost taking the life of my inductee my first year when I coached him. I was into a little John Eldridge back in those days, and we were in Idaho in the middle of March, and I thought it would be nice to take the boys whitewater rafting. And I thought it would be fun if I put the rookie catcher out on the bow of the raft and say, "Hey, why don't you see if you can balance out there, Steven?" And then I shook the boat. I watched the franchise fall into sub-freezing water. I learned what the word eddy was, eddies. I don't know if you any whitewater rafting people. Our boat got stuck and stopped moving down the river, and the franchise just floated away from me, almost like my career. We fished him out 20 minutes later, and literally he was blue. So 3 hot cups of chocolate. You remember that? So let me see. I'll get going. I know. We need 3 minutes. It's a tremendous honor to be here today to introduce a man that has not only had a major impact on my life as a coach, but has also had a profound influence on my family, the Cougar baseball program, and the Azusa Pacific University. Stephen's honors as a Cougar baseball player can be seen in your programs. They reflect a collegiate career that will go down as one of the most prolific 4-year periods in APU and NAIA history. In addition to Stephen's 9 school records, 3 All-American selections, 2 Conference Player of the Year awards, leading the Cougs to a record, and there's many of these players that are here today, 51 wins in the program's first World Series appearance in 24 years. And oh yeah, let's not forget his post-Cougar accolades as a professional athlete, where he's only accrued just 2 big league all-star nods. He was named the Catfish Hunter, and I think it's appropriate to recognize this, a Catfish Hunter Award winner 3 times in a row, the only player ever selected 3 times. This award was based on the following: leadership on the field, in the clubhouse, and best exemplified the courageous, competitive, and inspirational spirit demonstrated by late Major League Hall of Famer Catfish Hunter. In addition, he was a 2-time Dave Stewart Community Service Award winner, again, the only player to receive this twice, given to an Oakland Athletics athlete that has done significant charitable work locally and nationally. And finally, my personal favorite of all his awards, the 2015 MLB.com Best Interview of the Year. I hope we all remember that, where Vogt performed his classic impression of Chris Farley's Matt Foley, inspirational speaker. Maybe he'll give us a little of that tonight or today. Now, aside from all these amazing awards and accolades, I would suggest his greatest accomplishments over the last 12 years has been his marriage to former Cougar athletic great Alyssa Ferdashevsky, and the birth of their 3 wonderful children, Peyton, Clark, and Bennett, who are here today. Kath, the kids and I have been blessed to call both Alyssa and Stephen family, and we have watched them grow their own team over the last few years. There's no question if there were a Hall of Fame for great parents and munchkins, the Vogt family would be first ballot selections. As a coach, I've strived to build our programs around young people who have a competitive spirit, understand the value of putting others first, and are willing to do what it takes to be the best version of themselves, not only as players, but more importantly as people, husbands, fathers, and community members. Hands down, Stephen has excelled in all of these areas. He's one of the best leaders and people APU has produced over the last 50 years. He has been a consummate professional, alumnus, teammate, and friend to many of us here today. He's been an advocate on a national stage and his support of Azusa Pacific, and supported not only the baseball program, but the overall athletics programs as well. The word exceptional needs to be used when describing Stephen as a person, player, and friend. It has been the great relationships I've been blessed to develop during my time coaching that has confirmed my decision to work in such a fickle, yet at times like today, most gratifying profession. Many great players and people of character have crossed my path during my time in sports, and I've seen many of them here today. And I'm eternally grateful to all of them for how they have spoken into Cougar baseball. Stephen is without a doubt one of the best people and players I've been blessed to coach and associate myself and my family with during my 25 years in higher education. I have yet to come across a young person so talented athletically, completely eclipse all of those athletic successes and skill sets with a display of leadership and character only reserved for those we call Hall of Famers. Now, prior to Tampa Bay's 12th round selection in 2007, we believed. Prior to the Oakland A's fans, who created one of the best chants in big league baseball, we believed. Prior to 2 Major League All-Star selections, we believed. And prior to Milwaukee and San Francisco, we believed. It was well before any of these organizations recognized the value Vogt would bring to their tables that I hope we can all say here today on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, we believed. Oh, jeez. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. I won't count, but I'll give you my fingers. We can all say today, thank you very much. Now we're talking. In fact, it all started back in that spider-filled, dank, oblong-shaped South Cougar Dome office that Bill Odell and Gary Pine stuck us in back in 2003. Remember that, Coach? Our assistant coach at the time, a very good friend of mine, Jeff Ishii, had been haunting me about recruiting and evaluating players. And he was a first-year coach. It was my first year being at Azusa Pacific. And so I placated him and I flipped him almost to bust his chops a little bit. A recruiting CD, remember the CD-ROMs that you put in your computer, which had over 1,000 baseball candidates on it. And I said, all right, Ish, all right, you drive me crazy. Take this CD and bring me back the best 10. And for those of us that know Jeff and Coach Ishii, literally the next day he came back. And he had watched every single one of those kids. And he put the CD in our computer in that office and he said, hey, Paul, I think there's this young guy up at Visalia. He looks pretty good on video. We might want to take a look at him. So as I watched 3 swings, literally 3 swings, I've never done this since then, I picked up the phone. I asked Stephen if he'd signed anywhere yet, and Jeff and I offered our first athletic scholarship as coaches at Azusa Pacific. Now that was when the Cougs believed. I've been waiting for this day since the final game of 2007 season in Lewiston. And it's my honor and pleasure to introduce to you, class of 2019, Azusa Pacific University Hall of Famer, Mr. Stephen Vogt.
I came prepared, so thanks, Peter. You gave me the idea. What a great honor this is. I just want to thank the induction committee, April. What a great event this is. I'm so proud to be in this room. So many familiar faces, great athletes. For me, it started in this room. Orientation, fall of 2003, President John Wallace pointing to God first. That's how you compete, God first. Already. They say coaches are father figures, so I suppose my brother Danny and I are the luckiest kids on the planet. We were so fortunate to have our dad as our coach. He would leave at 3 in the morning, go to work, so he could be home in time to coach us in the afternoon, to teach us our passion and our love for this game. And to this day, I'm so proud to say I'll be 35 next week, and I still get to play the game I've loved since I was 2. And I'm so blessed to that. Dad, I have you to thank. You and Mom drove us to countless tournaments, showcases, took us everywhere, practices, split up to take Danny and I in different directions. Put yourselves aside so that you could be there. One parent would be at each of our sporting events. And for that, I thank you. Mom, I know you're up there right now, looking down. Yet another family event centered around baseball. You always had our back, Mom. You were our biggest fan. You were our biggest supporter. She was definitely the mom that when you went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts, that's okay, Stephen, they were good swings. She could never let us be satisfied and admit that we failed. Dad, you and Mom took round trips for 7 years down to Westmont and Azusa Pacific to support Danny and I. You wanted to show Danny, myself, and every one of our teammates that they were family. And I know I speak for every one of my teammates when I know that, Dad, you and Mom, you were their dad and mom too. Unbelievable parent support we had in our program, and I want to thank the parents as well because you guys made it what it was. You gave us atmosphere in a ballpark that was very tough to get atmosphere in, so thank you. Dad, you taught me how to learn to work, lead, and love like a Christian man of God. You were the epitome of a husband and a father and a leader. And you taught me that a leader puts every single person in the group ahead of himself. And when you do that as a leader, you're going to look up at the end of the year and you're going to love where your numbers are. Because I don't care what sport you're playing, baseball is an individual sport played for a team outcome. And when you play for your teammates, you end up having a good year. And I continue to try to personify that every single day in my career still. And my prayer is that my kids, Peyton, Clark, and Bennett, will see the leadership and love that you showed me, Dad. And if I can be half the husband and father that you were and are, I'll be proud. Alyssa, my beautiful wife, watched you play basketball in this room. Thank you for supporting me and being my partner and best friend in this crazy life. Over 52 moves in our 12 years of marriage, almost 45 of them completely by herself with at least 1, if not 3 kids. We have 3 beautiful kids, and we're coming up on 12 years of marriage, and I can't wait to see what God has in store for us next. Danny, been my best friend and biggest fan since I can remember. Every home video of me playing has you screaming in the background in support of your little punk brother. You've always sacrificed for those you love. You've always put the people in your life second, and you do that in your business as well. You've been such a great example to me of somebody who works hard to get what they want and works hard for the people in their life to show them that you love and support them. I love you, Danny, and it means the world that you're here for me today. I want to thank some other people that are here in support. My dad, his wife, Lori, thank you for coming. To my in-laws, Douglas Edison and Karen Edison and Bob Fertiszewski, thank you for being here. To all my friends, my teammates, you guys are amazing. I've had so many incredible teammates over the years. You guys are the reason I'm up here right now. You guys supported me, you pushed me, you made me better.
You challenged me on a daily basis and continue to, most of you, continue to challenge me. I want to thank the most important people in the room right now, as we can say as athletes, the athletic trainers. To April Hoy, not only for today, but for what you did for the athletic training program at this school. It's been world-renowned, and it's changed my and my wife's life. It's kept me healthy, and it continued. I find myself kind of questioning some of the methods of these guys in the major leagues sometimes. I'm like, I don't know if that's what April would do. So I want to say thank you to Phil Ford, to Kim Duskin, and Becky Rourke. All three of you were so integral in keeping me on the field, playing through injuries, playing through Oscar, little nagging bone spur in my heel, just wouldn't go away. But you had me ready to play every day, to catch 16 innings every Saturday, and I want to say thank you. To my coaches, Jeff Ishii, Coach mentioned you decided to grab a DVD one day, and you had faith that this kid with fast hands could hit at this level, hitting home runs into B-mans, which I guess now is Popeyes. You guys are lucky, by the way, now. Thank you for pushing me. Thank you for believing in me. And now 16 and a half years later, we get to meet. You're scouting for the Cardinals. I am a free agent, FYI, just saying. Robert Ruiz, you hosted me at Pomona Pitzer when I was a high school senior on a recruiting trip. And the whole time you talked to me about Paul Svagdis over at Azusa Pacific. I don't know if you were the greatest recruiting guy, but now you're doing great at Westmont, and I thank you that you were my coach for 3 years at APU. You pushed me to love my teammates, you pushed me to work hard, and you taught me to believe in myself as a hitter and trust my hands, and I think of you often. Tony Kagul could not be here today. He was our pitching coach, and he taught me the value in loving my pitchers, pushing pitchers to the expectations that I had for them, to push them beyond what they believed they could do. And I can say this to you, Pudge, if you watch this. There's not one catcher in the major leagues that loves their pitchers the way I do, and I have you to thank for instilling that in me. Justin Doherty, thank you for pushing me to be a leader and a great catcher. I've always loved catching, and I've always loved to work. But the working hard you kind of took to an extreme level. You taught me how to love getting hit. You taught me to love love getting beat up. I love catching every day, and I think of you. We still talk catching, and I can't appreciate the way you pushed me and never let me be satisfied with where I was. Coach Pricey couldn't make it today, unfortunately. Your knowledge and experience of the game changed every one of our ball players' lives at APU. Coach Pricey's Fearless Thinking program impacts all of us daily, whether we realize it or not. I've hired Coach Pricey to be my mental coach, and he's with me every once a week to 10 days to talk baseball and life. And Coach Pricey, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be the husband and father and present in dealing with all the tough parts of my job and the negativity of failing 75% of the time. Whew. Again, to all my teammates, thank you for being here. Buddy and Sobe, my two best friends in the whole world. In a life of sports and baseball, I've had thousands of teammates. I've had thousands of acquaintances, very few friends. And you two have pushed me, you've made me better, you've supported me, you love my family, and your guys' families have been my family. I can't thank you both enough for being here today. Last but not least, Coach, at least I don't have to look at you because I'm going to cry the whole time. Coach Svagdis has changed APU baseball. He got this program, and it had always been a successful program on the field, not necessarily off the field. Coach, you challenged us to be Christian men. Respect the women on campus. Respect the men on campus. Respect your professors. Go to class. And I'm proud to say that because of his motivation, I was one of 19 Major League Baseball players out of 750 on opening day 2012 to have their college degree, which is kind of a staggering number. But that came from you. Early in my freshman year, I thought it was okay to throw my helmet. I thought it was okay to use bad language. Evidently, it wasn't. Coach said in a very stern voice, "You need to meet me in my office after the game." You told me that my behavior was unacceptable, and if I continued to act that way, I wouldn't get to put the Cougar uniform on anymore. You challenged me that day. I had 15 at-bats in my college career, and you challenged me. You said, this is going to be your program. We're going to build this together. We're going to change the landscape, and we will be in a World Series your senior year. We're going to be good people. We're going to play the game the right way. We're going to be Christian men, great people on campus, great students, and then we might win some baseball games. You saw the potential in my ability to be a leader at 19 years old, and you pushed me to be that guy every single day for the next 4 years, which has made me a better husband, father, and leader in my workplace, an APU game changer, and that came from you. After 3 years of hitting over 400, three-time conference player, not player of the year, but three-time all-conference selection, coach said, do you want to play professional baseball? I said, yeah. He said, then you need to learn how to hit. Huh? We went right back to the drawing board and changed my swing completely, a complete overhaul of how I had hit my entire life at 22 years old, because you saw that I would not be able to hit at the next level. And now I'll be 35 next week, still hitting at the next level, Coach. We made it to a World Series our senior year in 2007, culminating in 5 years of your leadership. With you, the leaders in the program, with your leadership, we changed the culture of APU baseball. We changed the culture of APU athletics along with these other great athletes and teams and coaches that are in this room. It's no wonder we have all these directors' cups, and it's no wonder that people love to hear about the Azusa Pacific University. It wasn't always pretty between us, Coach. Didn't always like you. I loved you, but I didn't always like you. But I can say without a doubt, today you become one of the most influential mentors, people, and best friends in the world, and I thank you for that. APU is about loving each other and learning how to lead. A Christ-centered life and experience here has led me to be successful in my profession. More importantly, it's helped me become the husband and father that I am today. My family, Alyssa, Peyton, Clark, and Bennett, I love you guys. You're my rock. You're with me every step of the way. I'm proud to be going into the Cougar Hall of Fame with my family, teammates, coaches, because all of you helped me get, and you're all going to be with me in that Hall of Fame.
To present Eric Watry is Azusa Pacific former men's basketball head coach and athletic director Bill Odell.
In 1994 to 1996, seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? Eric Watry came and played for me. And it is my honor to be able to introduce you to him right now. The bios of each of the athletes that are here today, I hope you read them because they're 10 outstanding individuals. And I am honored to be able to present one to you now. For Eric, it isn't everything that is in the bio about who he is as a person. Eric was actually raised in this area, and I feel like his contribution to us as a basketball program in the early 90s helped us be as successful as we were, winning 13 out of 16 conference championships. Eric was an all-conference player at Northview High School here in Cavanaugh and received 2 years all CIF honors. He later transferred to Fremont High School where he was all LA City. His Fremont team beat Millikan High School in the playoffs, the state playoffs, who were coached by yours truly. I still recruited him. one of the words that comes to mind when I think of Eric is the word integrity. When Eric transferred to us after a sophomore year at Wyoming, we had approval from his coach, from the school. He had never attended anything and would be eligible immediately at APU. When he got here and we started talking and going over eligibility, he told us that he had gone to one class while he was at Wyoming. That one class said he's ineligible. Devastating to a coach, devastating to a player. But that's the kind of integrity this young man has. He didn't need to tell us that. He went to one class, and because of that, was ineligible. The second word is hardworking. When Eric heard that, he decided, wait, I only have to pass 24 units in the fall to be eligible in the spring? And I said, yeah, you have to pass 24 units in the fall. And he said, okay, I'll get that done. And he did. He passed 24 units in the fall, did not miss a practice during that whole time, and was, as I said, the hardest working player on the court. So his dedication, his abilities in the classroom, that makes him a pretty smart young man. The third word is leadership. And Eric, and when you get him up here, you'll see Eric is a very soft-spoken man. I always like to refer to the phrase that St. Francis of Assisi said was, preach the gospel at all times and use words when necessary. Well, that's what I would say about Eric. Eric, these are the words: lead, 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 and use words only when necessary. And lead he did. As a player on the court, in the community at APU, but also the fact that his teammates followed him, followed his leadership, followed them to 2 straight GSAC championships. Individually, he was honored as the Player of the Year. He was an honorable mention All-American. Even more importantly, we beat Biola 4 times when he was here. The fourth word that I would describe Eric would be loyalty. And I use that word for you to understand. Loyalty to this university, loyalty to loyalty to me, and loyalty to the American people. When Eric graduated, he went into the Air Force. He was 10 years in the Air Force Reserves. He worked for the DEA for 16 years. He was an inspector for the U.S. Postal Service. And right now he is an inspector and doing investigation for the state of Arizona. It is my pleasure to introduce Eric Watry and induct him into the Azusa Pacific University Athletic Hall of Fame.
You gonna have a food coma yet, or are we still good? I'm truly honored to be here today with all of the great honorees. It's almost surreal to be here 20 years later, standing among some of the greatest former student athletes in APU's storied history. There is no doubt that they are great people as well. There are so many people that I need to thank. First, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this induction. It is truly a great honor for me as well as my family. There are so many people that I've been fortunate enough to encounter over my lifetime. I've taken a little piece of their strongest characteristics and made them my own. These people are family, friends, coaches, teammates, instructors, members of the military, and the law enforcement community. Their guidance and tutelage have led me here today. I come from a tight-knit family. My late mother, Valdy Watry, and my father, who is here today, Eric L. Watry Sr. My parents were extremely supportive of my sister and I growing up, which led us to develop the confidence to pursue life with passion and tenacity. I remember my parents being at every game, every school function, every life event. I can still hear my mother cheering at the games as if it were yesterday. Their support over the years has been unbelievable. I truly appreciate all of their love and guidance. So thank you to my parents. Thank God every day for my childhood. I had the greatest time growing up in Los Angeles and right down the street in Covina, California. Nothing but great memories. Everyone, including my parents, knows that my sister, Kai Watry Jackson, truly raised me. You would think she had 10 years on me, right? Try a year and a half. She still tries to boss her big little brother around to this day. She's been my protector my entire life. She and my brother-in-law, Byron Smoke Dog Jackson, have been very supportive throughout the years. He watched me play many games here at APU way back in the late 1990s. Am I the elder statesman here today? So thank you to my sister and brother-in-law for your unwavering love and support. Thank you to all of my family and friends who were able to make it here today. A special thank you to Tim Harris, Tristan Alfred, Janae Corum, Sean and Lisa Porter. My uncle Jeffrey Whitmore is being represented by my aunt Monique Atkinson, who looks younger than I do. Thank you all for once again showing up for one of the greatest honors of my life. I appreciate all of your support over the years. I'll never forget. To my wife, Jill Marty Watry, one of the strongest people I've ever met. She has pushed through the difficulties of life with the utmost grace. Jill is truly the residential supervisor in the Watry household, and I'm looking at some of the faces in here. You guys know what I'm talking about. She has been a great mother to our boys, one of the greatest human beings I've ever met, and I'm fortunate to call her my wife. I love you. To my sons, Reese, Eric, and Eli, those guys have been a breath of fresh air from day one. I'm proud of all of their accomplishments, but I'm even more proud of the people they have become. I'd like to thank all of my teammates throughout the years. I've learned so much from each of them, and I thank them for pushing me to be the best that I can be. To the coaches I've been fortunate enough to learn from, Rick Stevenson, Ron Rice, Sam Sullivan, Glenn Hunter and family, Harvey Strode, former APU assistant, current Seattle U head coach Jim Hayford, former APU assistant Eric Emo Pontier. All of those men have contributed to my knowledge and love for this game. They deserve a great deal of credit for my growth as a player and as a person. To the staff of APU, a huge thank you to Dr. Richard Felix. I don't think you can measure what he has meant to this university. I definitely would not have been here if it weren't for him. Thank you to Gary Pine, who has been extremely supportive and a pillar of excellence during his career here. April Hoy for making this induction ceremony a great experience for the inductees, a Hall of Famer herself. Last but not least, to the man who helped build a championship program brick by brick with absolute humility. I missed his retirement, and I regret that to this day, so I'll tell you now what he means to me. Bill Odell is truly one of the greatest people I've ever met, along with his lovely wife, Dr. Gail Odell. She has always been great to me, my family, and teammates. Thank you, Gail. Coach Odell, I've never seen you fold under the most extreme pressure, always steady. You are without a doubt still the best shooter in this gym. I first met you when I was a freshman at Northview High School. You may not remember this story. You were the head coach at Milliken High School. We were at a team camp at Westmont College. You had a great team that year, but what I remember most about that camp was both teams taking competition to another level. We literally bought all the eggs in Santa Barbara. The chicken saw us coming and ran for the hills. Your guys started it for sure. To make a long story short, they are still cleaning that campus to this day. Our teams unleashed scrambled fury on each other, as well as nearly destroying that quaint little town. Who would have thought that a few years later, I would have the honor of playing for one of the best coaches in all of basketball? You gave me an opportunity, and I felt like I owed you and this university my best. Outside of my own father, you are a man that I never wanted to disappoint. I'm proud to say that I played for one of the best coaches, one of the best mentors, a great man who has always carried himself with honor and integrity, a true man of faith. Coach, I can't thank you enough for inviting me here and taking me on this journey with you. My heart is full of love for you and Azusa Pacific University. Thank you.
To present Lindsay West, his former Azusa Pacific women's basketball head coach and current Cal Poly Pomona head coach, Danelle Bishop.
We're almost done, everybody. We're almost done. Congratulations to all the recipients today. Such an honor to be here and just see everybody and all the accomplishments that you've had. I'm a little biased. I do think they may have saved the best for last, though, with Lindsay. She's one of the biggest competitors I've ever coached. Coached a lot of players and probably one of the biggest ones. She was fierce. She was bold. She was iconic. She set the APU career scoring record at 1,939 points. Opponents hated playing against her. She created a multitude of matchup problems. She could hit the outside shot. She could drive from the outside and get to the hoop. She could post anybody up. She blocked shots. She ran like a gazelle, and she had wide receiver hands. She could catch any type of pass our players would throw to her. She truly was a sight to see. Anyone who watched her became a fan of hers immediately. Her teammates loved her. She helped them on and off the court. She spent quality time with them. And in the good and bad times, she was always just there for them for whatever they needed. Her teammate and best friend, Monica Summers, said this about Lindsay: "I can confidently say Azusa Pacific was a wonderful school, but the best memories I have of this place are because of Lindsay and what a terrific role model, teammate, leader, and friend she was and continues to be. She was a coach's dream. She was the epitome of a true leader. She was the hardest worker on our team. She held her teammates accountable. She was brilliant in the classroom, today a successful accounting profession. She always spoke highly about how special her family was to her. She loved Jesus." My last little story, she also really loved to sing. One of our rituals on all of our national tournament trips, we went 4 years, 3 of the years with Lindsay. A bus would pick us up at the airport, and to kill time going from the airport to Jackson, Tennessee, we would entertain ourselves. And if you can imagine, someone would have at the time we had iPods or CDs, I don't know, we definitely didn't have what we have now, but they'd put on their headphones and they'd pick out their favorite song, they'd grab the microphone and they'd start singing. Remember, the only person who could hear the music, though, was the person who was up there singing. And we always loved picking Lindsay as the first one to go up, just so she could show the newbies how it would be done. And one of her most famous songs she sang, I'm sure Monica and Lissa, you probably remember this, is Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You." And Lindsay was up there singing it in the front of the bus, had that microphone, and maybe she'll give us a little bit of that today, but she was singing it as if she was Whitney herself. Except for all the rest of us that didn't have our headphones on and couldn't hear the music. It sounded like a howling cat. Sorry, Lindsay. Good thing she stuck with basketball and not singing. She made every day fun is the point of that story. And every person that was a part of our program is better because of her. Thank you, Lindsay, for what you gave to APU women's basketball. Thank you for what you taught all of us. Thank you for building lifelong relationships with just everybody that you came in contact with. Congratulations.
Thank you all. I'll keep it brief since I'm the last one up here. So first of all, I'd like to thank the Academy, the Hall of Fame induction committee, for their time and effort into this difficult selection process. I feel very privileged and very humbled to be part of such an amazing induction group. Going through all of the stories and everything, it just makes me really be humbled and appreciate what God has given me in this wonderful life. I want to thank Jesus for giving me the skills and the drive that I know comes from him alone. I would like to thank my mom. She was my biggest cheerleader since I was little. I remember the first time I picked up a basketball, I told her I wanted to be a bouncer when I grew up. To my dad, sure wish he could be here today. He taught me the love of basketball and tennis and softball. Sorry, I played a lot of sports, but anyways. Basketball and tennis at a very young age. I remember the first time I beat him, though. I was in high school, and he said he wouldn't play with me anymore. So I guess I got my competitiveness from him as well. I'd like to thank my brother and sister for coming to, it seemed like with my family, they came to every game that I was ever at. And no matter where it was, all over the country. And special shout out to my little brother for always trying to hit on my teammates and flirt with them when he was at a very young age. I would like to thank my first coaches at APU, Matt Ellison and also Jason Chacon. They pushed me and developed me farther than I could have ever imagined as a freshman. I remember they took me on a recruiting trip one time, and I came from a very small town in Wasco and didn't have a lot of experience with following college basketball. And in high school, it was 4 quarters, and in college, it's 2 halves. So I get to the end of the second half, and I said, where's the third half? And they just looked at me, they said, oh, much learning you have to do. I also like to thank Coach Danelle Bishop, who not only developed and motivated me into becoming a great player, but also took the time to develop me personally and spiritually. You can see that as a theme throughout APU and all the speeches, that the coaches, we were not just players, we were family. She took me in, brought me aside, really took the time to not just help me become a great player, but also become a great person. I also want to give a special thanks to Monni, who was right by my side the whole time, through the thick and thin, and is still right by my side. I am so very thankful, as you can see I got to play a little bit of 1 year of tennis as well. Just being with that amazing group of men and women was just absolutely amazing to see all of their love and support with each other. So it was just an amazing experience, very talented athletes and amazing coaches. Just in closing, APU was an absolutely amazing experience and was exactly where God knew I needed to be. And I'm very, very thankful and very blessed to be a part of this wonderful organization and college and Hall of Fame. Thank you and God bless.
To close our day together, please give your attention once again to former Azusa Pacific Director of Athletics and APU Hall of Fame member, Bill Odell.
All I can say is, wow. Can you believe these 10 fantastic individuals? Their athleticism, outstanding, but who they are as individuals, even more outstanding. And who they have become is just fantastic. You think the world has a chance. And I'm so pleased to have been athletic director through most of the time that they were here. And I do, as many have mentioned, the coaches at Azusa Pacific are second to none. and I truly mean that, not only in their sport and the accomplishments that way, but who they are as men of God. And I appreciate that. I also want to just mention and reiterate what Gary had said about the new president. I was in a meeting with him 6 weeks ago, and he was given hard questions. And the man stood up there like a man and answered every one of them without wishy-washy stance. And I heard his vision for who APU is to become, and I think that he is going to be a great leader for us in the future. This is a fantastic place. This is better than that. And I just thank you all for being here. I have some logistics things to say, because remember, April was in charge, and whatever she said goes. The centerpieces may be taken home. The people that were honored are to go over to the Azusa Pacific Cougar sign to have additional pictures taken. And for those of you that have been around for, well, as long as Cliff Hamlet, well, I guess not. But Cliff and a few of us are meeting together in the VIP room up here, and just want to remind you of that. Oh, did I make a mistake? And she corrected me. It's kind of like being married. You may take the flowers, but not the vase. If I see anybody taking the vase, you're in trouble. I'd like to just close with a word of prayer. And if you join me, and I hope you have enjoyed this morning as much as I have. It is just refreshing to see all of you that have come through Azusa, and those that were honored, but their teammates as well. So thank you for being here, and let's pray. Father, each of us just come before you, just humbly, just thanking you for what you've done in each one of our lives, but of who you are and how much you love each one of us. I thank you for this university. I thank you for what it means in the lives of so many young people. And I just pray for this university that it might maintain a God-first, Christ-centered mission. And Lord, I thank you for each one of these honorees, their families. And Lord, you have blessed them with an ability, but they have used that ability to honor you. And I thank you for that. I thank you for, again, that you love us and that you died for us. And I do pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. You're dismissed. Don't take the vases.